What is up, ladies and gentlemen? This is Behtash back at it again with another episode of the Critical Hit Show. I took a month off to focus on few projects and to improve on the show. Mainly, I had the weird black background and we were shooting vertically, which was not savvy for different screens. So I wanted to move away from that for the upcoming episodes and hopefully bring out more user experience to our lovely viewers. And we are also going to be scheduling some live sessions over on YouTube. I haven't figured out the cadence yet, whether it's going to be weekly or monthly. Love to hear your thoughts about that. If you have any opinions you want to share, but the aim is going to be to have some casual dialogues around marketing, AI, and everything in between. I will let you know once we are ready to pick that up, and we're going to go and get started. This is going to be, of course, the space that we can use for direct conversations, Q&A. I'm also going to build a critical hit community and aim for all of this to create that direct channel for us to get in touch more easier and more direct. And as for the show Critical Hit itself, the podcast is going to be for marketing strategists, business owners, entrepreneurs, and anyone that is interested in learning about the craft. You want to know about marketing, AI, this is going to be the podcast to listen to. Be sure to also subscribe and become part of our 700 large community on YouTube and share this podcast with those that might be also interested in the same subject. Also, this episode is going to hit on Spotify and YouTube on the same day, so please feel free to hop on there and leave your comments, your questions, any thoughts you have about this discussion today and for episodes to come. And without further ado, let's dive into today's episode. Let's get started. There is a lot of talk happening on AI on the internet, and it seems like we just can't get away from it these days. Anywhere we go, LinkedIn, Instagram, Google, YouTube, you got AI for business, everything AI is taking over, and more AI. But one thing that concerns me the most is creativity and uniqueness that has no protection in the age of AI. If everyone is using AI to produce content, what happens to the soul, the life, the emotion of the content itself? Why do we have so many colors essentially if we are ready to paint everything with the color gray? Who is the voice to protect brands, products, and even on some level, personal brands and integrity? That is everything that we do, from writing emails to writing content, is being done with AI. Let's take a moment and meditate on this together. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. You don't have to do all of that. We're going to talk about last ad that really truly moved us in a certain way. What was the ad? Was it share worthy? Did you take any action on it? Perhaps did you save it or bookmark it, or you were so excited that you wanted to talk about it with your team, or you wanted to dedicate the whole huddle to this one ad? If it was your ad, did you share it because of the metrics or because of how it resonated with you and truly how it made you feel? What was the point of all of that? Can you tell a story, or when you get back to it, can you form a story of how it resonated with you? Let's take a moment back to 1988. Nike was not a giant that it was today. The sneaker war was happening. Reebok was outselling them on many ways, different shape or form. And then 3 words changed everything. Just do it. No feature lists, no technical specs, no ROI calculators, just the vibe, raw, emotional, and universal. Everybody could connect to that. Just do it. Very, very simple. Nike went then from selling shoes at that point to selling experience, courage, identity, motivation. That's the power of the vibe, the subject of this episode. For many years, we've been told to follow the data. We follow ourselves drowning in dashboards and campaigns that are nothing but at best, well, mediocre. And the ugly truth of our industry right now is how we celebrate busy work, the vanity metrics over hard metrics. We see clicks, we celebrate, but the clicks are not resulting in sales. So why are we celebrating that? This is absolutely terrible because, where else can you go and say we didn't produce any results, yet we are celebrating and being very happy about it? Numbers don't make people stop scrolling and pay attention to what you have to say. And they don't create trust, value, community, or even culture around our brand. So why are we so obsessed over the numbers? Why are we so obsessed over something that doesn't work? Ogilvy, the father of advertising, believed that advertising should be all about creating emotional connections through compelling storytelling that resonates with buyers' authentic experiences rather than, solely focusing on persuasion. And old school selling techniques is all about identifying the problem, solving the problem. Identify the problem, solve the problem. And our marketing is also following the same set of rules, same pattern. We identify the problem, hopefully through data. Some might not do that. And then solve it by talking about the product itself. We constantly sell over social media, and we say, why doesn't social media work in B? But neither the data nor the product description can create resonance. And that's the reason why social media is very tough for some brands. That is the job for the creators, creating the vibe that matches buyers' authentic experience. Emphasis on authentic experience. So there is a paradoxical position here because the reason why vibe is becoming so important more than any other time is fueled by AI. The one thing that cannot help you create that authentic experience. And the best way to look at it is open your feed today. And what do you see? You see ads that are blurred together, stock photos smiling back at you because everybody's using them, and mediocre copy because it's written by people that are not knowledgeable about the product or the authentic experience. And so another paradox here is that we over optimize for those numbers, but we less optimize for people. We create campaigns that perform on the books, but fail to create culture. And we live in the culture. We inspire in culture. We love culture, but yet we ignore it. Recent study, Nielsen's latest global report shows that ad recall dropped by more than 30% in the last 5 years, despite the spending climbing. Brands are therefore paying more, but people are remembering less because we all just aim to just flood the gates, and we flood it with mediocre content. The fast delivery is the most important thing, not the quality, not the vibe. And that's the problem that vibe marketing is stepping into. And I'm in no way, shape, or form suggesting we should ignore the data. No way. However, we need to aim to correct the imbalance that was created as a result of accepting to a lesser extent. Otherwise, we will have brands that cling only to performance metrics and risk becoming invisible in the plain sight. But I get it though. Vibe isn't on anyone's radar, either because it cannot be measured as well as, clicks and sales and impressions and, video watches and stuff like that. It is not tied to any sales metrics, and it is very difficult to teach vibe to employees. Some might even not know how to describe it. So there are definitely some risks, and after all, word vibe doesn't really vibe like a silver bullet, especially if done carelessly. It can damage the brand. To name a few of those risks, and in my opinion, the third one is the most important to talk about these days. First, we can refer to becoming superficial, slapping an static filter on campaign that doesn't really create resonance. And there's difference between mimicking a mood and embodying the mood. And buyers can catch on to fake super fast. And another thing is there is a risk of misreading cultural signals. A campaign that feels aligned in community can spark outrage in another. And we've seen global brands that really stumble when they are borrowing imagery or tone without really respecting the cultural root. And the third, and the most important, is we need to touch upon homogenization. With AI tools making design, music, and copy much, much easier than ever before to generate, there is a real danger of brands just blending into the same aesthetic soup. If every campaign feels the same, generates from the same prompt, then what can highlight your product, your offer, your vibe from the competitor? And finally, there's an internal risk to be aware of too. And that is to convince the stakeholders, because convincing the stakeholders like finance boards, procurement teams, they all want proof. They want charts and projections, but Vibe doesn't fit nearly any of those spreadsheets. That makes it harder to defend, harder to measure, and harder to prioritize in resource allocation. But while it is harder, it needs attention now more than ever. We used to say brand awareness is important, and that was very tough to sell. But reality is, vibe marketing in some way, shape, or form has always been with us, and we used it in different ways without perhaps knowing about it. We just forgot about touching upon it for a very long time. Think about it in marketing other than campaigns. Where else can you really think about using vibe marketing or vibe in marketing or vibe being important? Where do you come across dealing with vibe marketing unknowingly? Perhaps creating a logo, website, the brand itself. Can you just ignore colors and make everything gray? Sure. If that's your brand's personality, absolutely. If not, then it doesn't match the vibe, you see. While it is difficult to show proof, it is much more difficult to ignore vibe marketing. So we're here. We talked about risks. We talked about vibe marketing. How do leaders operationalize vibe without letting it drift to subjectivity? And that is very easy to do, leaning towards subjectivity. So to ignore that and surpass that, first, you need to define your vibe, not as a tagline, sensory mood board for the brand. What colors, sound, texture, even cultural references feel authentic to you. Second, we need to pair intuition with intelligence. Use AI not just as a generative creative, but to scan cultural signals. What sounds are trending on TikTok? What aesthetics are rising on Instagram? What memes are resonating in your niche, perhaps? These are like radar systems that can help you really gauge before you take the leap of faith. And third, focusing on prototyping fast. One thing that can help with that stakeholder conversation is the fastness of it. Use the AI to prototype and do a lightweight creative and do a multiple of them, mood driven, and put it in front of people and let them tell you how they feel. Create cross-functional squads that can also help you, because if you're putting all the responsibility on creatives for vibe marketing, it's going to be wrong. You need to stress test it with the stakeholders that know the product and have genuine relationship with it and can tell the story in a way that you can't. It's the data scientists, cultural strategists, brand managers, finance leaders working together to validate and figure out whether it's resonating or not. Finally, measure it differently. Track brand sentiment, share of voice, cultural mentions, time spent with content. These are now leading indicators of the vibe's effectiveness. And the playbook is just going to be in circulation. Define, listen, test, integrate, and measure. And repeat that over and over and over again. Now, this part of the episode, some might ask, Behtash, everybody's hiring for personalization, influencer marketing, performance optimization. That's very important these days and everybody wants to focus on it. What about those? And my answer is, of course, personalization is also important. There's no question about it. Performance marketing is also important. No doubt about it. Influencer marketing is also important. No doubt about it. The ability to deliver the right message to the right person at the right time has redefined digital marketing in a different way. But personalization without vibe is as dangerous as personalization without data. It can be potentially efficient. It can check the box. But if it doesn't spark emotion, it doesn't sell. In fact, I'll go as far as saying personalization, data, and vibe need to go hand in hand all the time. Influencer strategies have also reshaped the landscape of marketing. You got micro, nano creators that are the cultural gatekeepers in an online world. But even here, what separates the campaigns that go viral from the fizzling out campaigns are the vibe marketing. If you pick a wrong influencer with the energy that doesn't match the vibes of your brand, the partnership will feel transactional. You'll be almost guaranteed no results, and your money will go down the drain. The distinction between the three can be personalization and influencer marketing are tactics. Performance marketing is execution. Vibe marketing is the identity. So they're not interchangeable. They need to go, they're separate levers that you use to make the brand more stronger and better. But the real question that we have to ask is, okay, we know all of this. We know vibe marketing is important. How do we get started? You audit your brand, not the logo, not the tagline. You audit the feeling. Gather the leadership team around people that are having real connection with the product. Ask this disarming question. What does it feel to buy from us? If the answers are vague, inconsistent, uninspiring, that's the signal for a weak vibe. Invest in cultural intelligence. Build a system, whether in-house or through partners, preferably in-house though, that tracks the aesthetics, moods, and narratives of the buyer's world. Experiment bold. Pilot a campaign where vibe is the driver, right? Track sentiment, conversion lifts, emotional response alongside everything else, conversation. And if you see positive in both sides, that means the vibe and the products are selling. And empower your team. Designers, strategists, analysts, even sales leader, everybody in the company needs to become a brand ambassador, embodying the brand's mood. And finally, elevate the conversation. Bring the vibe into the boardroom. Let it be not a side project, but as a inspiring lever influences loyalty, pricing power, and cultural relevance.